All right, so we did get some volatility during the FOMC meetings yesterday. We had a pretty large drop to the downside, and there have been some pretty significant developments because of this drop that I want to go over. So, first off, looking at market structure, we have now closed candles down below the lows. We have taken out the lows and we have stayed down here. We didn't get quick wicks like we have been seeing at these lows, and we have closed candles down below this low. So previously, the 4 hour market structure point was right here, and we did not get a transition because although we put in a lower low right here, we didn't close. It was just an SFP. So I was still looking at this as the 4 hour lower low, and this is the 4 hour lower high. But since we have now come down to close candles down below this low, the 4 hour market structure points moved. And I've decided to try out marking out structure this way. Basically following the higher highs and higher lows very directly, not really caring if it's a clean break, but not considering, moving market structure until you do get the break essentially. So, I'm still learning market structure, and the more I'm learning about it, the more I realize there's a lot of subjectivity to it. There's a lot of different rules that people follow, but basically, because we did now get this break here, and because this was a lower low, I'm still going to follow it with structure, even though it wasn't a break. So, while beforehand the market structure points were here and here, even after we put in this lower low, I was not counting any of this as structure until we got this break, until we closed candles down below this low. So that's the way I'm looking at it right now. And so that means that if we get a move back above this high and we close above it, then we would be reversing 4 hour structure, which, I kind of like. I think there is still reason to come back up for these highs considering all the stop losses, all the liquidity. And now that the 4 hour lower high is right here, that makes it pretty easy for us to transition structure here. We don't have to get a move all the way up to this high anymore. It's much closer, much more realistic for us to be able to transition 4 hour structure. So that is a significant development, I think. Now, looking at daily structure, we have now also closed a daily candle below the last lower low. And this is not the first time that we have broken this low, but it is the first time that we have gotten a significant close down below this low. I was not considering this first close a significant break of structure because we only closed like $40 below the low. And since it was daily structure, I wanted to see a more clean break than that. Just barely closing below it isn't enough. We essentially SFP'd it in my opinion, and then we wicked it again here. But we have now definitely broken structure, so the market structure points on the daily change. And what I would say is daily structure is what I have marked out here, with the lower high being right up here. And you could argue, based on the way that I marked out 4 hour structure, since we did technically put in a lower low here, we didn't break structure, but we did put in a lower low. You may be able to mark structure out like this and still call that 4 hour market structure point basically a 4 hour lower high. You could also call it the daily lower high. But the reason I'm not is because that is just kind of bunched up. Like looking at it on the daily time frame, it overall just looks like one move to the downside. With daily market structure points, you like to see clear pivots really with what price is doing. Here it was going up, then it was going down, and even this is a little bunched, so maybe that's a bad example, but you can see the moves clearly. It's like price, was in an uptrend here for a little bit, and then it began a downtrend again. Here, this just overall is one move to the downside. Even though we got some chop here, I wouldn't exactly call that daily structure. On the 4 hour, it is because when you zoom in, it looks more, you can more clearly see the moves to the downside, the moves to the upside. But on the daily, it just looks like one move to the downside. So I would still consider the daily lower high to be right up here. So that's really it in terms of market structure. The weekly market structure hasn't changed. We will not get a significant change in weekly market structure unless we take out this high, which would then create a new higher low, higher high in primary structure. Not even considering this internal structure, this yellow path, because that does not matter as much as the primary structure. And right now, the primary structure is just in between this low that we put in and then this high, because that is when we broke structure. So on the weekly, if we put in a new high, if we close up above this point, then the primary high or low would be right here, and then maybe we could transition weekly market structure, start a downtrend again. That is a possibility, but for right now, if we start getting a large retracement, even if we break this internal low, we could come all the way down to this low and still maintain bullish structure, basically still put in a higher low, or maybe even SFP this low. So weekly structure right now is in a pretty good spot because we can get a very large retracement here and still remain bullish. Now, in terms of other significant developments, really the only other thing that's changed is we've put in new lows. We got to move down towards this bottom trend line again, which, I kind of adjusted, and I guess it still kind of fits. We might have got to bounce, right off this bottom trend line, but, overall, we're still in this wedge. We're still just barely putting in lower lows in this downtrend. And we are right now at, what I would call an area of support. We are right around the previous highs. We are right around this little area of consolidation. And we're holding support. We are seeing some bullish signs at support. Like we do have some 4-hour divergences. Even locally with money flow, but it's not super strong. I wouldn't say money flow is looking super strong in any time frame, but we do have some divergences as we put in lower lows here. On the 2-hour, you can see the divergence is a little cleaner, and money flow, again, is looking kind of weak, but we are seeing a slight divergence here. I would have preferred if the money flow looks more something like this, where we got a very deep wave and then, a quick turnaround and aggressive move back to the upside. This money flow is looking kind of shallow, kind of weak, so, not the greatest, but, maybe you could also look at it as overall, as we've been putting in lower lows, the money flow has been increasing, and I know that's kind of hard to see, but we've been putting in higher lows with the money flow, and now we just got a very tight wave, so you could potentially look at that as being bullish. Maybe not really weakness, but more so just the money flow not wanting to go deep in the red. I guess that's one way to look at it. So we are potentially seeing some bullish signs as we're at what I would call support. We're at a key support area. We're at the bottom of this trend line. And because of the liquidity above us, I still think that it is possible that we get a move to the upside. I think there's a reason to come to the upside because of all of these lower highs that we put in without really sweeping liquidity. There's a bunch of them. I think there is still plenty of reason to get a move to the upside. And I would say if we do get moves to the upside, I would probably be watching, obviously resistance that we have in here, but also market structure points, just seeing if we SFP either of these market structure points, the 4-hour or the daily, because, then we could grab liquidity, and maybe that means that the structure wants to continue if we're not able to close above the market structure point. So I think it is possible that we come back up to the upside, even if it's just to grab liquidity and kind of SFP one of these market structure points. So now I want to quickly go over my trade that I took yesterday. I took another scalp trade literally minutes before the dump. The same thing happened over the weekend, and I went over this trade in one of my last videos, but basically I just shorted a retrace into an order block after we wicked the low. We did that twice in a row. After we wicked the low again, got to move back up to the order block. I shorted, and that ended up being like the last retrace before this massive dump. So yeah, it was a scalp trade. I took out most of my profits at the low, so then it started running. I just started taking out some more profits as we got to move. It wasn't a super great trade because it was a scalp. It was a pretty small position, but still. And a similar thing happened yesterday. So right before the FOMC meeting, we got some of this volatility, right as they announced their, whatever they were announcing. We got this drop, and as we started getting a retracement, I was looking at a 5-minute order block, and it's kind of not even really an order block. I mean, maybe it is, but it was the only thing that I was seeing. But I think there was also confluence with the golden pocket or something. Yeah, it was right around there. So I was looking at this blue candle right there. And yeah, as we got to this retracement into it, I ended up entering somewhere over here because I wanted to see us take out this high again, but we never ended up doing that. So I ended up entering right here, targeting the lows with a little scalp trade, and we hit that pretty quickly, and then the rest of this trade ended up going on a pretty crazy ride here. So, again, a little scalp trade that ended up running, and they weren't crazy trades because I ended up taking out a lot of profits here, a lot of profits here. So, I didn't capture the whole move, but still, it ended up being a really good trade. And that was the only trade that I've taken since yesterday. The only other trade I was interested in was an SFP of this original low, and very unfortunately, we took out that low like an hour before I woke up. Not even an hour, actually, like 40 minutes. So, yeah, that was unfortunate. Now I'm pretty much waiting for a retrace, which I didn't notice we are retracing right now. So maybe if we're seeing some absorption, this could be something I'd be interested in. Does not look like we are, though. Let me refresh. So yeah, we're not really seeing a lot of people shorting this. Not seeing like we will get absorption here. I could look at an SFP of this local higher low into the golden pocket, and if we see some kind of local divergences, there might be a scalp trade potential there. But yeah, if I can get into a long trade, then I would like to, because now that we SFP'd this original low, I think it's more likely that we transition structure. The market structure point moved to this high, as opposed to being up here, so we can get a market structure transition sooner. So I may be interested in something like this, or us coming down to take out this low again. I will be watching for both of those. And other than that, I'm not really looking at too many trade ideas at the moment, other than like local price action. There is resistance above us. We got this golden pocket now lining up with the point of control of this little range. We could SFP these highs into this 8-hour order block and the 786. So there is resistance above us, kind of around the top of this trend line. But yeah, we got a lot of ways to go before we get there. I would probably be looking locally inside of this little range for resistance levels. Probably also be watching this value area low, because if we can't reclaim that, then there's a chance we end up going lower. So I'd want to see us reclaim this previous range resistance or support now turned into resistance. And also, don't want to forget this. Shout out Platinum Mike Perry for wearing a Market Cipher shirt on the Joe Rogan Experience. That is pretty crazy. Shout out Crypto Face. He he got on JRE. So yeah, I'm showing my support. Got a new profile pic here, and Market Cipher is having a sale right now. So if you are interested in Market Cipher, there's 40% off right now if you use this code. And I'm not 100% sure, but I think this code should still work if you use my referral link in the description of my videos. So if you were considering buying Market Cipher and you want to use this discount, I would really appreciate it if you try using my link in the description and then using the code to get the discount. And if it works, that'd be awesome. If not, then no hard feelings. Anyways, that's about it for this video. So thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. And I will see you all in the next video.